What's your secret that could literally ruin your life if it came out? Story 1. I still have imaginary friends. I'm almost 30. I lost them for a while. I don't know why or how, but they were gone. I couldn't see them or hear them anymore. Not the way I used to when I was younger. It made me miserable. I kept hoping for a way to get them back. 2 weeks ago, I somehow managed to finally break through whatever the barrier was. I have spent the past 2 weeks hanging out with and talking to a character from a well-known TV show. I can't really see him visually, but I can see him with my mind's eye. He goes almost everywhere with me. He's sitting on my bed right now waiting for me to get off my computer. I promised I would get off a little while ago, but I had to check Reddit one last time. He's been coming to work with me every day for the past 2 weeks. I share my food with him. I kind of mentally duplicate it for him, since he can't touch it in reality. I love it. I'm happy again. I realize most people would say he isn't real, but something about him is. I don't care. He's real to me. I'm scared that if anyone knew, I would get locked up and heavily medicated, but I acknowledge it's not really a likely scenario in my case. It's up to you whether or not you want to seek help or tell someone about this, but regardless, you would not be locked up or crazily medicated. There is a stigma on the mental health industry. If you choose to tell someone like a psychologist, for example, it is your choice to act on treatment or not. Tell them your fears and ideas regarding treatment, and if they are the right psychologist for you, they will treat you like an equal and put your fears to rest. If he starts to interfere with your life, then it's time to seek help. It may sound strange, but I really wish I had a psychologist to talk to because I'd love to share it with someone. I know there are good psychologists out there, and I would love to have one to talk to regularly. Unfortunately, I can't afford that sort of thing at this point in my life. Maybe in 5 years we'll have more universal healthcare coverage, or I'll be making enough to afford it myself. Thank you for your response. I feel like this confession would only ruin her social life, but she's already got imaginary friends, so what does it matter anyway? Story 2. I once helped out my female friend's family by taking care of their cat for a week. Every day for a week, I would go over there and snoop around their house. I found my friend's diary and proceeded to read the entire thing. I used this information to get her to like me, and she is currently my wife. This is literally the juiciest secret in this thread for some reason. Not totally bland, but not overly obscene. Probably because this is something I could actually picture any person doing if given the chance. I agree, it's not particularly evil, but it is a misdeed that completely altered this guy's life. Honestly, it sounds like a pitch for a mediocre romantic comedy. He read her diary? Now that's just crossing the line. Story 3. My daughter turns 5 next week. If anyone knew the truth behind her parentage, I could probably lose her forever. I grew up in foster care. I never knew my parents or siblings. In my senior year, I met an older guy and we dated for almost a year, getting pregnant about 7 months in. One night, while we were watching TV, the subject somehow came around to our real parents. He had been adopted as a young child. Turns out the man I was seeing, the father of my daughter, is my half-brother. We have the same mother. Our relationship didn't last, and he is not in her life per his own choices. My daughter is extremely smart, beautiful, and well-rounded. She'll never know the truth. Her father and I made a pact to never tell her. I just hope she never needs a kidney or something. You wouldn't lose your daughter. This was an accident, not something you did. No, you shouldn't feel horrible at all. Not your fault. What is with replies like this, being overly supportive and comforting? How would you know she wouldn't lose her daughter? How would you know how her daughter will react? Are you going to take responsibility if your reinforcement creates a disastrous effect on both of their lives? Seriously. Seconded, family law is capricious. There's very little oversight, and things often come down to the whim of social services workers or judges. Children have been taken away for much crazier reasons than this. This is something that needs to be kept secret until the daughter is grown. I agree with the first commenter that it was an accident and the mom is ultimately not at fault, but the other replies are also correct. You just don't know what might happen if the right people were to find out. I certainly wouldn't take any risks with my own child. Story 4. I accidentally killed 7 people. I put a rag into a new water heater exhaust to keep debris out and installed it in a rental. I got a call a week later that there had been an accident. I showed up and there were tons of EMS and police. They asked me where the gas shutoff is, and I went down to shut the gas off and saw the end of the rag I forgot sticking out of the top of the heater. I ripped the rag out, shut the gas off, and headed upstairs only to be told all the tenants were dead. I drink all day now and sleep. It's killing me from inside every single day. but if I say anything, my family is ruined. We have a bunch of rental properties and we'd be shut down. This is too specific of a story. Someone with 45 minutes could find this case and find you. I don't know what to say though. Not your fault, but honestly, it would affect your business if you were found out. Delete this post and pay tons of attention from now on whenever you do stuff. What? Yeah, it is his fault. This. Sorry that he feels awful about it. At least that means he's human, but it was most definitely his fault. Also, 7 people died. Those families deserve the truth. Honestly, if I knew this case and knew which apartment complexes you owned, I would be telling the authorities right now. Man, that's heavy. Some other commenters replied with an article that sounds exactly like the story, but the source of the carbon monoxide was a van left running in the attached garage. Let's hope that's what actually happened. Story 5. After graduating from high school, I went to a small out-of-state college where no one from high school knew me. I was told many times how impressive my false Australian accent was, so I decided it would be great fun to go through college pretending to be from Australia. All of my friends and even my girlfriend of 2 years think I'm Australian. I have a completely fake Australian identity, family, and past. I will soon be graduating, and I plan on asking the girl to marry me. Everything she knows about me is Australian. I don't even know how to tell her she doesn't really know me. Guess I'm forever a bloke. Hate to break it to you, but you won't be marrying that girl unless it turns out she's actually from Australia and has been pretending to be American for 2 years. You need to come clean. This is not a facade you can keep up for the rest of your life. It's just not. She may accept that your family is distant now, but at some point she'll expect to meet them, or get a phone call or a letter postmarked from Australia. You cannot make a marriage last when it's predicated on a lie this big. Maybe you won't be able to salvage this relationship either, but she deserves to know before getting any more involved in the relationship. I have to say I agree with the replies. This person cannot honestly say that he loves this woman enough to marry her, but will continue lying to her forever. If he truly loves her, she deserves to know the truth. Story 6. This isn't necessarily something that could ruin my life, but it could ruin many others. I haven't told anyone before. My father recently went to prison for a white-collar crime that he pleaded guilty to. He didn't commit this crime, but the alternative was fighting a highly sensationalized media-obsessed scapegoat case and potentially getting 20+ years. While he was in prison, I read his little blue book, which I knew contained all the missteps of everyone he's worked with. He has always been an extremely scrupulous man, so these offenses were something he took seriously enough to note. I have information on countless state employees, incredibly prominent and wealthy community members, numerous elected city/state officials, and police officers. This information could ruin lives and start political controversy. My father is an incredible man and is not vengeful whatsoever. He will never use any of this info against these people, despite the fact that most completely turned on him, stayed uninvolved at all costs, or started pointing fingers. When I picture my aging father sitting in a maximum security jail cell sleeping on a metal sheet without a mattress, I am filled with rage for these people who could have stood up for their friend and prevented this while he still continues to be loyal. I still haven't decided which campaigns, if any, I'm going to ruin in the upcoming elections. I don't really understand your father. Why take down these notes, which are presumably for future extortion or personal protection, and then not use them when forced to go to jail? That he's innocent only makes it stranger. It just doesn't add up. You use your get out of jail card when you get sent to jail. His motive was to have details straight in case it hit the fan. No intention of bringing people down. He has been trying to retire peacefully for years. Post-jail, he has no reason to demand media attention, especially after he feels like he has failed his kids in this way already. Proving innocence costs a lot of money. It cost my family's entire retirement savings just to reach a bargain. It's also worth noting that the offenses in the book had nothing to do with what he was already being charged with. Story 7. First time telling anyone this threat is so deep that probably no one will see, but if one person does see it, I'll feel better. I am basically living a lie. I told my entire family I was able to transfer out of community college and into a university, but I never finished up the requirements. So since I live at home, every day instead of going to school, I go to the local library and BS. My lies are so extensive, I even go to the campus and meet my girlfriend for lunch sometimes. I've made fake transcripts to show my family, and to make it look like I'm actually studying. I go to MIT OpenCourseWare to look up facts that I learned in class that day. I have become a remarkable liar. I hope to be transferred transferring in the fall, and then I look forward to living a normal life. Coming clean is not an option at this point. I'm honestly really happy to hear I'm not the only one who has done this. I used to skip every day, sit in the parking lot alone, and read, feeling like a weird little crap because I felt too nervous around so many people. I was stuck in the middle, too nervous to attend and terrified to tell my parents I was too nervous to attend and had failed. It turned into a really crappy cycle. That's an actual anxiety disorder. I hope you're doing better now, but if it's still affecting your life, you should really seek help. Many other people have gone through this before. You are not alone, and there is effective therapy available. I actually know someone who did this. He flunked out of university his first semester, but kept doctoring transcripts for his parents to make it seem like he was still attending. I wonder how he's doing and if his lies have caught up with him yet. Story 8. When I was about 12, I went with some family to the Family Dollar. My mother and cousins went off to look at generic groceries, so I decided I would just spend my time hanging out in the toy aisle. In the toy aisle, there would always be these bags of marbles that other kids would open and leave lying there. So I decided to fling marbles across the floor, and one happened to reach one of the far-off aisles. So about 2 minutes later, I hear a loud crash and someone scream, "Somebody help this man!" Being the curious child I was, I ran over to see what the commotion was about. I found everyone gathered around this guy who seemed to have fallen from the ladder as he was getting something off the top shelf. The guy was seizing out and blood was coming from his head as he laid there, and his face seemed to be turning blue. My mother whisked me and my cousins away and we left. Next time we went, we talked to the front cashier, and she said that they called the paramedics, but by the time they got there, he had died from choking. Apparently, when he had the seizure, he was choking on his own tongue. The cause of the fall, according to the front cashier, was that he had put the ladder on a marble and didn't check it before he got on. When I heard what the cashier said, I just stood in disbelief thinking I was going to jail. I tried telling my mother many times, but all she did was say that I imagined it. She probably knew. She knows kids are gonna screw around and throw stuff everywhere. She probably realized it was an accident and that you deserved no blame for it at all, and tried to make the best outcome for you and your sanity. I think the other employees just saw the marbles and jumped to the conclusion that they must have led to the accident. The theory in another comment that he had the seizure on the ladder, which really caused the fall, makes more sense. Story 9. My boyfriend at the time cheated on me, and the girl he cheated with made a point of going around and telling everyone in our little town. It humiliated me. I made a fake Facebook account pretending to be a boy, added her, and talked to her for 8 months, becoming her confidant. She told me all her secrets. I then got to the stage where I asked her to send me naked pictures, and she did. The pictures got put all over town along with prints of her secrets and message. She got kicked out of school and her family disowned her. It ruined her life. She got so much abuse over it she had to move to a different town, where last I heard she's unemployed and living in a dump because her parents disowned her and she has no money of her own. She has no idea who the boy really was. I don't regret it one bit. Whoa, the long con. That is some simmering revenge. Impressive. If you ever see someone with my username, please go easy on them. I don't know if I believe this one, but if it's true, this girl is downright diabolical. I don't think I've ever hated someone enough to do them this dirty, even when I was cheated on. Story 10. I faked having a chronic pain condition for 5.5 years in order to not have to attend middle school and high school. I was placed in a homebound program, not homeschooling, and was allowed to study at my own pace from home. I was able to fool a team of medical professionals, my family, my teachers, and my friends into believing that my symptoms were real. Also, I racked up over $100,000 in medical bills for my family during those 5.5 years, and that's just what the insurance didn't cover. I did not realize the extent of the medical bills until late into my life, and it was one of the main reasons I decided enough was enough. Upon graduating from high school and getting accepted into a good university, I decided that it was my time for my pain to go away. No one has questioned the fact that my symptoms vanished overnight. My medical team attributed it to the fact that I was nearing the end of puberty. What I did was a douchebag thing, and my family is continuing to drown in debt for medical bills. I plan to pay them back someday. I simply started the hoax because I was a 12-year-old who absolutely loathed middle school. I attempted to end the lie at the beginning of every school year, but eventually fell back into saying that my pain prevented me from attending school. Today, I feel horrible about what I did, and I desperately want to tell everyone that it was a lie, but I know that I cannot because I will never gain credibility back again. That kind of lie will weigh you down for the rest of your life. You don't have to come clean anytime soon, but you should eventually. At the very least, get your parents' debt out of the way. I doubt it's as easy as, I paid back the money you owe. Think of all the potential problems being in that much debt may have caused the family. Think Think of all the time spent with doctors and the frustration caused. Not trying to make him feel that much worse, but the overall cost is likely more than just simply monetary. I agree. Think of all the worry that your parents may have gone through. The monetary debt is only a fraction of all the problems that were caused by this lie. I don't know if it will be possible, but in my opinion, I think the only way that you can actually come back from a lie this big is by becoming a very wealthy person, paying back their debt and taking care of them for the rest of their lives. That way, all of the pain and worry that they felt would not have been for nothing, because you ended up successful and able to take care of them. Story 11. My great-uncle Jack used to live with my family. One day he got drunk and had a bad fall that ended up causing him to bleed out. I ended up finding him. I was 14 at the time and had never seen such an awful sight, and lost consciousness due to all the blood. When I eventually recovered, I called the ambulance and stayed with my uncle, but he died in the back of the ambulance, holding my hand. No one knows about what happened to me, and if they did, they would realize that I'm the reason he's dead. I have seen people faint like that many times. You were not out for long, probably less than a minute. It probably would not have made a difference if you hadn't fainted, honestly. I was scanning all the comments looking for something like this. In my experience, people who faint are usually out for just seconds. The couple times I came to within 5 seconds, even though it felt like I had been out for hours. It was like waking up from the best nap of my life. Unless you know for sure how long you were out, I would assume it was for a very short time indeed. Regardless of how long this person was passed out for, I don't think it's fair that they carry around the burden of causing their uncle's death. I hope they have come to this conclusion on their own. Story 12. I hate my significant other. She makes me feel like crap on a regular basis. She's childish and always blames her issues on the people around her. For years, when we've gotten into fights or I'm trying to unload something, she shifts the blame back on me or berates me or calls me a wimp and such. Multiple years of this have sapped all of my self-confidence and cost me multiple friends. I feel like I can't address this or anything relating to her because it will upset her. I'm aware that our relationship has and will ruin my life, but I don't have anything else in my life that is solid, and we have built a life together. Please consider the possibility that it is this way because of her. Having your confidence crushed every single day will obviously hinder you from progressing your own life. You need to dump her now. From what you described, there's very little in your relationship worth keeping, and a whole lot worth leaving. I know it's hard to see this when you're on the inside of a relationship, but guaranteed most of the people around you can see your unhappiness and probably are wondering what you see in her. Since you feel the same way, sticking around longer than need be will only make things worse. I was in the same boat as you, and as soon as I got out, I met my fiance. Take the leap now. You'll be better off in the long run. Story 13. I'm a senior in high school at the moment. In sophomore year, I came out to all my close girlfriends, and I am now very close to all of them. I've slept in the same bed with them, dressed and undressed with them, even took a shower once with them. I'm not actually gay, and just came out so that I could see them naked. My entire group of friends would completely shun me for life if they ever found out. A friend of mine did something similar. We both did theater, and one of the upperclassmen said that he would throw a party for the first freshman who came out. The next day, my friend came out as bisexual, and then there was cake and everything. The next week, he apologized for lying and said that he just really wanted cake. Story 14. Not as bad as everyone else here, but I think this is pretty funny. This is a story my half-sister has told to me. The way she told it was great, and I probably won't do it justice. When she was growing up, she hated her stepdad, my real dad. I think he's a great guy, a little crazy though, and they get along fine now. He was just weird and a little mean to my mom's other kids. He is a man of routine. Every morning he'd get up, get the paper, make freshly squeezed orange juice for himself, mom and me, but not my half-sister. Then go shave, shower, and eat breakfast and drink the OJ. My sister used to pine for a glass of that OJ and got her revenge in quite trivial ways. She would get to the shower before him, take a long time, and make him late. She'd leave messages in the window like "I loathe you" and such. She eventually stepped it up, waited for him to finish making the OJ and go to the bathroom. She then snuck out, drank half his glass, savored every drop, and filled the rest of the glass with her pee. Set it in place and waited. She then sat and watched him slurp down every last drop in complete satisfaction. She said after that, anything mean he did didn't really bother her. She'd just smile and think, "You drank my pee, and you loved it." After that, their relationship actually got better, as they weren't bickering anymore. They actually have a great relationship now. She asked when she could tell him. I said only on his deathbed. So we have that to look forward to, which is nice. Okay, that is just disgusting. Does this count as bio-warfare? Story 15. I set my neighbor's shed and backyard on fire when I was 7. I was smoking crunched up leaves rolled up in notebook paper and threw the darn match into the dry grass like an idiot. Why was I in my neighbor's backyard smoking dead leaves and notebook paper? I have no idea. Story 16. I was born a man, but I think I'm transsexual, and I have no idea how to be sure. Even if I am, there's no way I could do anything about it without losing all or most of my friends and severely straining or breaking the relationship with my family members. And it seems that every day that goes past, my body becomes more and more unquestionably male in some respects, far more masculine than that of many of my male friends. I have less muscles, since I don't work out, but more hair and facial features I can't quite pin down. The hair is the worst. Front, back, legs, even sporadically on otherwise bare patches. It looks disgusting regardless of my body image. Any attempt I make at feminizing my appearance, privately of course, just looks ridiculous. So here I am, hating every aspect of my body and not having anything to do about that. And even if I did tell somebody and start doing something, what if I was wrong? Then everyone would know and I'd have messed up my life for no actual benefit. And even if I could do something, would I really want to make my life harder and more complicated, as seems to happen for any transsexuals, for the sake of being comfortable in my own skin? Would I in fact feel comfortable at all? Maybe my problem is not that I'm an unfulfilled transsexual, but that my brain is conditioned to hate everything about me, which, given that it extends beyond my appearance to my behavior and mannerisms, isn't unlikely. Hun, you should head over to r/transgender and chat to the lovely people there. I know you've probably already thought of that. I was much the same for years. I thought I just had general body issues like a lot of teens, but it turns out I'm trans, and hormones are doing wonders. If you do eventually decide you're trans and end up transitioning, believe me, the changes it can make are astounding. Your skin gets smoother, less body hair, and tons of changes. Have a look at some transition videos on YouTube and see just how amazing and comfortable you can feel in your body by transitioning. It's possible, and it might really help you. Best of luck. I hope you reach a point soon where you can be happy with yourself. I know just about everyone struggles with disliking their body at one point or another, but gender dysphoria is another level of confusion that I can only imagine coping with. I genuinely hope this person found their peace with their body. Story 17. I'm an atheist. I'm also a deacon in an evangelical church. I'm not exactly proud of it, but I try to do my part to convince people to live like Jesus because even if he wasn't God, he certainly had some good ideas about loving other people. The problem for me is my family. I'm married with one kid and another on the way. I believe that such a revelation would be devastating for my wife. I've tried to tell her in subtle ways, but I can't bring myself to just come out and say the truth. I love my wife and I don't wish to harm her emotionally in that way. I'm religious and involved with my church. My husband isn't any longer. We live in the area he grew up in, so every week people ask how he is and if I think he'll come back to church. To be honest, I had a hard time with him losing his faith. At first, I felt like he was just taking the easy way out and being selfish. It was a struggle. I was angry and then I got over it. He is an incredible guy who I'm so happy to be with. We respect each other, and that makes it possible for us to raise our kids without clashing. We have a lot of the same values. I want him to be happy, and he is, and I support him. He does the same for me, so there is hope for your situation with your wife. Thanks. The funny thing is, I really do enjoy going to church. It's an immense sense of community. I get to be involved in projects that help people. Not saying there aren't other options like that out there, but I've been plugged into it for so long it's difficult to let that go. In the short term, I'm hoping to slowly break away, possibly to a church that's more liberal and accepting. Story 18. Sometimes I like to go down dark side streets and alleys with the intent of getting in a fight. I know full well the kind of people that hang out in these places, and when I'm in a certain mood, I like to pretend I'm innocently walking through. My most recent was when a guy tried to mug me and I used that as an excuse to beat him within an inch of his life while taunting and humiliating him. I also enjoy the thought of torturing bad people in ways that will maximize their pain while keeping them alive for as long as possible. I am in therapy and my violent tendencies are a lot better than they used to be, but I also do not direct my violence on random innocent people. That just upsets me. To help clarify, I'm a 21-year-old female. I sort of fail to see the issues here. You're sort of like a crazy female Batman. As long as you continue to do it to violent criminals, it doesn't seem so bad. The real issue is when you come up against someone who knows how to handle themselves and you could get badly hurt or worse. Wow. I would really hate to encounter this woman in a dark alley when she's in one of her moods. Unless she waits to be attacked first every single time, how is she so sure the people she's hurting aren't innocent? I'm glad she's getting help. Story 19. I'm sure this will get buried, but I have never really expressed my guilt over this particular instance. One night in college, a few of my friends were doing a little dorm drinking. I, not being much of a drinker, decided I would prefer to smoke and offered my friends to come outside with me to smoke. We have a smoke spot on the dock on a river near my school. We went down, everyone is fine, walking fine. They didn't even appear to have drunk at all. So we walked to the dock, sat down, and I lit up my bowl. As I went around the circle, it got to this one girl, we will call her Kay. When Kay got the bowl, she took a hit and began coughing. I watched her as she crawled over to the edge of the dock. Her fit of coughing led to her throwing up into the water. As she was throwing up, she leaned just a little too far and fell in. I immediately freaked out. I got up and realized she wasn't coming up. I stripped down to my undies in a matter of seconds and jumped in. After searching for about 2 minutes, I finally found her lying on the bottom of the river, limp. I went under and brought her to the dock, with the help of some of the 30 or so people on the dock, who witnessed all of this. We pulled her onto the dock. I got out and proceeded to give her mouth to mouth. The cops came, she coded on the dock. The paramedics shocked her. They got a heartbeat and she was in the ICU for 2 weeks. She's okay now, perfectly normal with no permanent damage. I know I saved her life, but I will never forgive myself because it was my weed she was smoking and it was my idea to go down to the dock. The worst part is, I was treated like a hero, but I never felt like one. It was my fault. I got all kinds of recognition. My family was also given a free trip to visit me after this ordeal. All this I got because I saved a girl's life, which I endangered in the first place. Well done, man. That was really brave of you. You could not have known that it was going to happen. You are a hero. If it wasn't your idea to go down to the docks, you would have jumped in after her anyway. If you weren't there, she may not be alive or healthy. I cheers my drink to you, brave man. Story 20. I'm waiting for the day someone tries to attack me, so I can finally kill another person. I'm not a sadist or anything like that, and honestly, I couldn't do it to the other person if they didn't throw the first punch. But dear God, I have this feeling inside of me of rage, of an anger so violent that I need to express it. It doesn't hold a candle to the other stuff on here. First off, he wants to kill another person, so he's already killed somebody. Sounds like a job for that girl who likes to frequent dark alleys looking for trouble. Story 21. When I was a kid, I had a really hard time learning to ride a bike. My brother learned quickly, and my parents spent quite a bit of time with him as a result, time they weren't spending with me. After feeling intense jealousy for a few days, I disconnected the brakes from his bicycle. The next day, he crashed into a fire hydrant and broke his neck. He's been paralyzed from the neck down ever since. This was 15 years ago. I've never told anybody. It sucks how this turned out, but you were, if I'm assuming correctly, a pretty young kid if you were just learning how to ride a bike. You can't hold this against yourself. You didn't know what could happen at that age. Oh, children and their inability to foresee terrible consequences. I couldn't live with the guilt of knowing I did such a thing to my sibling, but my brother has never been better than me at anything, so I've never had to contemplate such cruel revenge. Thanks for watching until the end. Do you have a deep, dark secret you'd like to share? Please leave it in the comments below, so that I can make a video on them again in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.